I think there is, in parents' mind, a correlation between the name of the college, maybe the ranking in the US News and World Report, top 25 colleges, and what they think their students' success in life will be. There is no evidence to support that at all.
I knew in the back of my head that it didn't matter which school I went to, it didn't matter the prestige, but obviously everyone wants to kind of have that prestigious school and say you go to that prestigious school. So I think that was kind of always in the back of my head. My college applications process was very stressful, as I'm sure a lot of seniors can relate to. I am a bit of a procrastinator, so I found myself often writing essays very last minute and just being very stressed out. It was definitely a lot of ups and downs, a lot of rejections, but then the acceptances were amazing, obviously.
I think most students are applying these days to between 10 and 25 colleges. That is insane. That is so much work. And it can be really overwhelming for students because they're trying to manage being a senior in high school, usually with a harder slate of classes. They're trying to manage maybe work. They're trying to manage like having some sort of a social life, and then you throw basically a full-time job on top of that. And it's creating a time period for high school seniors where there's just not much breathing room and there's not much time for fun or even sleep. And I think that's pretty toxic for teenagers.
I know a lot of people who applied to 10 or 15 schools and they were bogged down from the start of school until like the end of November when all of the college apps were due.
So what has happened was with the launch of the Common Application, it became so easy to apply to tons of schools just by adding colleges and clicking through. By making the application process easier on the front end in the application piece, it made it harder for you all because it ended up just adding applications.
I think I definitely would have been able to focus a lot on other aspects of my life if the application process wasn't what it is. It's a super stressful process, a lot of writing, and I found myself very burnt out. And that kind of impacted, not being able to hang out with friends all the time, not being able to participate in family activities. Sometimes on vacation, I would just have to make myself sit down and write essays, which was very not fun. So I think I definitely would have been a lot less stressed out, and I would have been able to pursue a lot more things I was interested in if the application process wasn't so stressful.
When I go to play lacrosse, it's not just like for fun or just to play the sport, but it's actually to improve my chances of going to college. And I also do scouts, so when I go to that, a lot of it is because I want to use that for college and say that I've done that.
But if you're doing something just to check the box, you're not going to do that thing as an adult when life is complicated and busy.
I do think sometimes people look down on me for not going to college. I think that this day and age, one of the first questions asked to someone my age is, where are you studying? Where are you going to school? And when I answer, I'm not going to college, I kind of feel a change in their perspective of me. I kind of see like, oh, he didn't get into a college, or oh, he's a bum and he can't go to college. In reality, that's not really the truth. I don't feel like a bum for not going to college. Me personally, I didn't apply to any schools. I knew I didn't want to go to college, and I think that choice was right for me. And I think that more people should realize that they have that option.
I don't mind really going to comm. One thing was I didn't really want to talk to people at the end of senior year when everyone was like, oh, where are you going? I just said gap year or something like that, because it kind of was a gap year for me. But I also didn't really want to admit that I was going to College Marin, that I didn't get into another school, because I didn't have time to explain the whole backstory, oh, this is why I'm doing it. People were just like, oh, he probably didn't get in anywhere. Comm's where people who have poorer grades go.
Oh, I felt very, very pressured to go to college. My school, through COVID, changed into a college prep school. When I first applied to that school, I went to it because it wasn't that. It wasn't only helping people to go to college, but once we came back from COVID, it had somehow changed and it had become a very prestigious, very college prep school. And I felt very pressured, very pushed towards the college process.
Growing up, my family's a very academic family, so I always put pressure on myself and felt the need to go to a prestigious school, I guess.
Probably one of the most common questions you're going to get asked by people who are not your parents is, oh, where do you want to go? Or where are you applying? I call Mill Valley a bumper sticker town. So what I mean by that is that you drive around town, you're walking around, you see bumper stickers. And what bumper stickers do you see? You see Harvard, you see Yale, you see Cal, you see UCLA, you see Stanford. That's what you see, but it's everywhere. So that's psychologically influencing you guys from a really young age. It's just information that's in the background. And that tends to make students think those are the schools that are right for them. That's not necessarily true.
Unfortunately, I think that the application process is just going to become more competitive. I know that the class of 2025 had one of the record numbers of applicants, but I know that compared to, for example, when my parents were applying to college, it was a lot easier back then, and I think it will continue to get more competitive with colleges requiring SAT, ACT, but I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope it becomes less stressful and competitive for people.